inner fender well of the newer Broncos. It is molded into it, and it says, "Lift me, baby."
All right, welcome back to day 3 of the Bronco. Today we got to move over to the prep station here. We're going to get up on jack stands and get the tires off, and we're going to start working on the lift kit today, which I think Cam's got taken care of over here. What do we got here, Cam?
We have a 3.5-inch lift from Rough Country. It's got strut spacers and new upper control arms.
All right. Doesn't look too complicated considering I just did this kit in your mom's Bronco 3 weeks ago. So let's get started. All right, so we got it up on stands. We got the wheels and tires off. We ended up taking this fender off just because it's pretty simple to get out of our way. To get in here and replace these upper control arms, it's not a terrible job, but we're going to have taken the center fender well out. I think it's part of the instructions anyway. So at this point, we're going to start at the front, because we got to get these struts out, and then we got to run them over to a friend of mine's shop, and he's got to take the struts apart and put in a preload spacer and then put it back together, and I don't have that kind of tool to do that here. So we're going to we're just going to set it up on time lapse here, and we're going to start blowing this thing apart. All right, so we got this front all ripped apart here for the most part. I think Cam just got to finish up getting this upper control arm out of the way, and then we're going to switch over to the driver's side. We'll get that all ripped apart. How we doing, Cam?
Good, just trying to get this thing out of here. There it goes.
Oh yeah. You got the little, yep, yeah, that's the correct one.
Up here.
So this one here, it's not super difficult, but there's 2 spacers that got to go in between the lower control arm and the strut. It's can be kind of challenging to get in there, especially when you're underneath the truck like this. But once we get this one in, like I said, we'll switch to the other side and get that ripped apart.
Where'd it go?
These spacers there, it's hard to see, but all right.
Here we go.
So this side's ready to go back together. So we got the driver's side all torn apart here. Obviously went a lot quicker because we figured out what we were doing on the other side. So we got this all done. So now we're going to load up the struts. So we have to take the stock struts and we have to run them out to a buddy of mine's shop, because we have to pull it apart and install these. These are called a preload spacer. They go on top of the spring underneath the hat of the strut. So, and I don't have the equipment to do that. So we're going to run that out there and get that done, and then we'll come back, throw it back together. Well, we just left Jamie's shop. We got went out and got the struts torn apart and got the preload spacers installed, put back together. He's got one of those machines hangs on the wall, that's a strut compressor. I don't have one. I don't want to own one. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those things, but they look dangerous. Whatever. So Cam's behind me. She's behind me in the Subaru. And while we're out there, Jamie's got a couple projects that need to come over to the shop and get some work done, so we picked up one of his projects. It's a 16 Ford Fusion. It's hitting the left front. It's got to go on the frame machine. We need to do a little tweaking on the door and put a new fender on it. So we're getting some weird looks from people, because basically I'm driving a car with no left fender at all. It's removed. and then the door's all smashed, and the mirror is like flopping in the wind. So people are looking at me weird. Whatever. So we're gonna head back to the house. We'll park this thing, and we're gonna get back on the Bronco. All right, we are back from dinner. And we're back to putting struts in. So we got the spacer plate installed preload, and then we got the spacer plate installed on the top. We removed these studs out of the bottom. It makes it a lot easier to get the strut assembly back in there, because it was a pain in the butt to get out stock height, and now we added 2.5 inches to it. So by taking those studs out, we can put it back in and then put the studs back in, and it makes it a lot easier to put back together. So we'll set it up on a time lapse and put it all back together. And just like that, we got half a lift kit. So we got the front done today. It's 9 o'clock at night. We're both done crawling around on the floor. Really, most of our conversation was about how much we missed the 2-post hoist, which we need to get installed sooner than later. So we got the front in and all put back together. We got those 2 bolts back in the bottom of the strut. That's pretty simple. Nothing, just put the nuts on and hit it with the impact. That draws them right back down through there. And then for the most part, our control arms are in and snug. They're not tight. We'll tighten that main bolt down after we get weight back on the suspension. And then the sway bars are done. Everything's done under here. And then tomorrow we'll pull the rear springs or the rear struts out and get the back finished, and then throw the little tires back on it and laugh about how big it looks with little tires until the new ones get here anyways. So see you tomorrow. All right, well, we're back on the Bronco, not the next day. So the last video was we ended that on Wednesday, 9 o'clock. It is now Tuesday the following week, and we are just getting back to it. I am. The lovely assistant will not be with us today because she's got one of those real jobs to go to. So the front is done. We're going to start the rear, which isn't too much. Basically, we have this panhard bar bracket to replace. Add these to the top of the strut, a couple brake line spacers, drill a hole, and that's going to be about it for the rear.
It's the first step out of bed when the clouds start rolling in, when the flowers lose their head. It's the lies that keep them smiling. I feel them slowly dying, like the world has just decided to stop its spinning. It goes round and round and round and round again. Life goes on and on, just slide around the bend.
All right, so we just finished up the spacers in the rear. Went pretty smooth. A lot better if I had a hoist, but no, I don't. So, last 2 pieces. This is the panhard bar drop bracket for the rear axle, and then we just got these 2 brackets to extend the brake lines, and that is going to be it for the lift kit. And then we'll move on to that ABS pump, which I'm not looking forward to, I'm sure. So here we go. Well, that'll wrap up the lift kit for now. We have the rear spacer plates put in the strut on top of each side, 2 brackets for the brake line extension, and the extender for the panhard bar down here. I know the light's annoying, but it's dark under there.
So that's going to wrap up the lift kit. I'm not going to put the wheels and tires on. I'll wait till Cam gets home from work tonight. We do not have the new wheels are here. They're just not at the shop. We have to take these tires out, dismount them, get the tire pressure monitors out of them, and switch them over to the new wheels and tires. And she wants to be a part of that. So we're going to wait till she has another day off or a half day, and we'll go out and mount up some wheels and tires. But for now, we're just going to put the stockies back on there so it's back on the ground and mobile. And then we're going to, so we'll do that tonight, but I'm going to switch over to this ABS pump, and we're going to get that thing switched out so I'm done with that section. So this is the ABS pump that we're going to work on next. This is our new one we got in from, where'd this come from? Cunningham Brothers Auto Parts over in Rustburg, Virginia. It was the only one on car part for a 23. Evidently, the 23s are different than the 21 and 22s. So that left us searching. So like I said before, we got a dent right here. And we got more lights on in the dash than we know what to do with, and it all comes back to the ABS. So we're going to rip this baby out. We're also going to remove this AC line here, because if we just did not see that it is, get down over here a little bit. It's got this line coming right in here, and it's cracked right here. So we're going to pull that line set out. We got a new one come from Ford, and then this one here, where it comes from the condenser, has got a couple kinks in it that I don't like. Since we're in there, we're going to replace that line set back to the AC compressor. So pretty much the line sets are all going to be new. This does have the new Y1, 2, 3, 4 super duper expensive refrigerant in it. It's just stupid expensive. So basically I don't want to have any leaks or problems later on, so we're just going to replace them now, wire those things apart, and get it fixed up the correct way. All right, that went pretty smooth. We got the new anti-lock brake motor assembly in. We have all the lines hooked up. We have all the bleeders cracked loose. We're just going to let those gravity bleed for a while. And then when somebody comes home later on, we'll do the old-fashioned bleeding system. I'll show you this old module here. Get a better look at it so you can see. I can find it in my camera here. There's a big dent right here, and on the other side of that dent is where all the wiring goes into it. This thing does a lot. A lot of communications with the other modules, and without this guy, I'm actually debating on ripping that cover off there and seeing what's behind it, just because, well, it's junk. So we might do that just for fun. But so we're gonna let this gravity bleed for a little while here, and then when someone gets home, we'll bleed the brakes the proper way, get that all going, and then we're just gonna start putting stuff back together again. All right, we are out of the shop for a minute. We are going to, so we got to run to Jamie's and take care of a couple things quick. And I'm thinking all our parts will hopefully be in at Ford. Because if I can get those two AC lines, which are hopefully in, if I get those back installed, we can put all the cooling and the condenser, cooling fans. We can get all that stuff put in there at night, get it full of coolant, and get all the wiring plugged in, clear some codes, see what's left, I guess. So that and the dog wanted to go for a ride. She's bored. She's been in the house all day, so we're gonna run in town, grab a few things, and get back to the shop. All right. So we just got home, back to the shop. Stopped by the Ford dealership, and sure enough, both AC lines came in. So we're going to get these put in without breaking it, hopefully. And then from there, we'll be able to, what's the next step here? Hopefully somebody will come home, we can bleed out those brakes. And then from there we get these lines put in, and then we can literally just put everything together on the front end, and then we'll get back to bodywork after that. Sound good? So we got the AC lines put in, but unfortunately we're going to have a delay of game here. So we got the line set from the compressor in, we got the line set from the firewall in, we got the bracket put on the top of the intercooler, so the intercooler is all stable. Adjusted those lines, batteries back in, that's ready to go. Well, we got a pretty sure that radiator, I don't know, can you see that bow in that thing right there? Look at that. I don't think it's supposed to look like that, especially for a Ford product. Looks like it was dropped on this side, bent up. So I'm not going to continue with that tonight. We're going to, I'll call out to my guy and have him order another one, just because that's a lot of work to go through to replace if that thing leaks, and I don't really want to find out that way. So we'll have to change that part and switch to something else for tonight, I guess. All right, so we got back on the Bronco today for a little while. It's what is today, Wednesday now again? So we got Cam ended up taking another shift last night, so she didn't get back home till late. So this morning we threw the stock wheels back on, which now it really looks stupid with the lift kit in it. But anyways, the rear lift's in, the tires are back on for now. The new ones are here. We're gonna go get those probably next week. And then the rest of the day we spent just doing body work, fixing some nicks on the mirror covers, some nicks on the flares here, a couple of packaging scratches on the new fender from Ford, fixed those scratches from, I'm assuming, a barbed wire fence on the original fender, and then we ended up just priming the whole hood. This is brand new from Ford, but I mean, it is the worst primer I've ever seen. I mean, this thing, honestly, it looks like they sprayed it with primer and then drug it down a gravel road and then brought it back in and reprimed it again and then shoved it in the box while it was still wet and then shipped it into a warehouse. It was terrible. So we ended up just DAing the whole thing out with 320 and just putting 3 coats of primer on it. So we'll give it a guide coat tomorrow, block the whole thing out, make sure everything's good to go, and start putting it back together and get it ready for paint. But yeah, I think that's going to end it for this section. Yeah, the next section we'll get on to paint and some final assembly, I guess. So thanks for watching.